Welcome to Uspaxico. I am so excited today. I'm just amazed that I got this band of sisters together. My friends, the Esau Sisters. So, welcome. And can you just say your name and where you currently live in birth order?
Lena Vilbrick. We live in just outside of Barcelona City in Sant Cugat.
Okay.
My name is Sylvia Amador, and I live in the west side of Chicago.
Lena, you're sideways. I'm Susan Chan, and I live in the northeast side of Chicago.
Okay. Thank you. So, I met the Esau's. Man, my I don't think I have memories in life without knowing of you guys. So we have a shared history in the '70s well, at least I was born in the '70s, and your parents were working with my parents in Madrid, and so there was a lot of overlap. I guess my preteen years for sure. And then you guys are older. All four of you are older than me, so you started moving on in life before I did. So yeah, maybe what would you say, just in a minute or two, or might be some memories of of childhood, your first, I don't know, 5 to 10 years of life in Spain. So what would you say in a minute or two, Lena?
Did you say first 5 years in Spain?
Yeah, 5 to 10 years.
5 to 10 years. Let's see, that was
In
Canillejas.
relation to you?
Well, right. Good point. How old were you when you got to Spain?
So I was 1.5. Carmen was a newborn. Is Carmen back on? Because
Okay.
I can't see from my phone.
She's not
So
back on yet.
yeah, earliest memories are living in Alcobendas and knowing that we lived in Canillejas before that, and Alcobendas making the transition to the same mission as your parents as we moved to Fuenlabrada for my parents' new ministry. And you're right that you don't have any memories of life without us because you were a baby when I was taking care of you, begging your mom to please let me feed little Mateo because I was always wanting to take care of the little kids and pushing you around in your little stroller. So we were in your lives from the
Yeah.
time that you were just a toddler.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have no memories even though I was born in the US. I was 11 months old when I got to
Oh,
Spain.
okay.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I was
Cool,
one and a
cool.
half. Those were the early memories, going to school in Spain, going to Spanish school, being introduced a little bit to ECA, wishing I could go there, but it was too far. That didn't work out. But at least being able to visit a little bit. And yep, I'll let my sisters go ahead.
So, as far as memories, for me, when I was 6 is when we moved to Fuenlabrada from Aluche. And so I remember just going into a new neighborhood and getting to know new kids, going to a new school. I have very faint memories of our first neighborhoods, but then the second one, Fuenlabrada. And in relation to you, I have a lot of memories of our first years in Fuenlabrada, of your dad coming as we moved into a new neighborhood, coming and doing open air clubs with kids. And I also have my memories with you. The earliest memory I have is picnics in la Casa del Campo.
Oh, yeah.
With you guys sitting on picnic blankets. Your brothers were babies, and you were maybe, I don't remember if Juan Marcos was in those memories of picnics, but I remember just playing with you guys on picnic blankets and hanging out on after church in la Casa del Campo. And as you know, soon we started our own church in Fuenlabrada.
Susan, what would you say?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of. I only have a couple of memories of Alcobendas. I remember the transition very vividly. The transition to Fuenlabrada when I was just 5, and it's interesting how my sisters are sharing. Maybe some things are coming back, but it only 4 years younger than Lena. Obviously, that would change my memories. But I think my memories related to World Team and you guys, maybe more like. Well, I remember hanging out with Shelly Thompson a lot. And I remember maybe Christmas or Thanksgiving or kind of visits, gatherings that we would have together, and faintly remember visiting you guys. But yeah, it's very what's the word? I don't remember a whole lot of those first 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
I remember going to your house quite a bit, having meals at your house and going
Hmm.
out to play in a park or run around with you all or something. And when you were
In
already in Uganda, it must have been.
yeah, in Arganda. Yeah. Cool. Hey, Susan, I just wanted to ask you real quick. Did you go to Spanish schools? Do you remember going to
Oh
Spanish
yeah, as far
schools?
as yeah, we went K through 8. I went to Spanish
Okay.
schools right in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Carmen, what would you say are some memories of your first 5 to 10 years in Spain?
I have very good memories. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm trying a different device
Yeah.
now. We have a power
Yeah.
outage here. Okay. I have very good memories of my first 10 years in Spain. I don't know what the rest of you, I didn't hear anything of what you said, but I felt totally Spanish. I didn't feel like an outsider, like an MK or anything. And so I
Hmm.
have very good memories.
Hmm. And so Lena was talking about the part in Alcobendas. I didn't know that part. To me, it's always the Isas. That's Fuenlabrada. So I guess it's interesting. Um, and did you mention Aluche, Sylvia? Did you guys live in Aluche sometime, or was that a memory of
No,
being at
we
the
just
church?
went
No.
to church in Aluche for
Yeah,
a
yeah,
while, and it was after those church services that we would have picnics or that. I feel like that's the
yeah.
only time we would see you guys, other than in the future,
Right,
Thanksgiving, maybe Christmas.
right. Let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about the transition from childhood into adulthood. And for all of you, that might have looked different, but well, as you're growing up, aware that you speak two languages at least, aware that you have elements of more than one culture. How would you say that has shaped you? And that could be, from childhood, adolescence to present. I mean, just how has that whole experience of being bicultural, bilingual, and whatnot? How's that been?
I think being bilingual, I think we could appreciate more culture, relate to people in more ways, and that's an advantage.
Hmm.
Just to be able to have empathy and be able to intervene in more people's lives and just be able to understand two completely different cultures. That was a gift looking back now, that I don't think we realized at the time because we took it for granted. It was normal and we didn't think much of it. But looking back, it was something God used and has used since then, of course.
Hmm. Yeah.
And for current ministries, that was a huge advantage. You don't have to do language study now.
Right.
Same
Right.
with you,
Yep.
except for Catalan.
Eso sí. Um,
Should I go,
uh,
Carmen, or do you want to
Yeah, go
answer?
ahead. I'm trying to solve another little issue
Um,
here.
I I remember it being a struggle to say everything in English at home.
mhm.
Um, Not a struggle, but just I feel like I remember my mom always saying just use English. Just I don't know if any of you have that memory, but I
I do.
remember feeling more comfortable in Spanish, just because it was we were in school all day,
Hmm.
and feeling like, so transitioning to high school. I remember being very nervous about using all English, but then we were in MK school where many were in the same boat. Um, but yeah, um, yeah. I guess I'll have more thoughts in a minute.
But my mom used to emphasize that more like a month or two before we would go on furlough back to the States. She would say, "You got to say that whole phrase all in English. Don't use your Spanglish," because we didn't even know we
Yeah,
were
Yeah, I think my dad
Spanglish.
was pretty strict with it in a good way. He encouraged us to separate languages as we were growing up, and not our tendency would have been to mix them. And
Hmm.
I think it was good for us to be disciplined in separating both languages. But we were all probably more comfortable in Spanish until our later high school years, going through BFA and then
Hmm.
in college in the States.
Yeah.
although I feel like I've never had the chance to be in an all English world because
Hmm.
from our first week in the States, I connected more with the Spanish speaking church.
Hmm.
So it's
Mm.
been very gradual to feel like completely comfortable in English.
Yeah.
Now it's
But
the other way
you know,
around. I'm more comfortable in English than in Spanish, although I function in Spanish all the time, but
oh,
my heart
interesting.
language is still English. So that was always there, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I know that our experiences shape our memories too. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that English was always my heart language, but it could be that um, that it wasn't. But like even with my kids trying to talk to them in Spanish growing up now, they sense that English is just is more of my heart language, and they refuse to speak Spanish even when they were babies. So
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. As far as I don't remember exactly your question, but you mentioned transitioning, and I wanted to say
Mm-hmm.
that related to the first question, I think because our family had so many mission transitions, like vaguely remember the team missionaries, and then I remember more the world team, and then we were with the Mennonites for a while, and so all the gatherings were very special. And I think for me, when they transitioned into being independent for a long time,
Mm.
I actually, even though I felt very Spanish, I knew that I was a third culture kid somewhere and in my
Right.
heart, and I missed those gatherings. I really grieved not having them. Like I needed to identify with other people that were like me, and so
Mm.
that was a little bit lonely.
Yeah.
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 I think we all missed the continuity when our parents transitioned out of World Team. We
Yeah.
missed that World Team family, which were all of you, and that would have been our desire. By that time, I was older and away at school in Germany and then in Canada. But
Mm-hmm.
I was aware I'd come back and visit, and then now there was a different mission family. So the one that sticks with us, I think all of us, is you all. You were our
Mm-hmm.
little brothers, our primitos. It was Uncle
Yeah.
Jim and Aunt Marilyn,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
was the closest idea we had of aunts and uncles
Yeah.
growing up
Uh,
in Spain.
yeah. Anything you would add, Carmen, about a transition, or what it's just been like being bilingual, bicultural, bilingual?
Okay, I'm kind of in and out here, but
Sure.
let's see. I remember it, feeling awkward around other Americans. Like I felt
Mm-hmm.
totally Spanish. I think it helped a lot that our parents put us into a Spanish school, and I
Mm-hmm.
think you guys did the same thing, and that probably helped you too. And we had a
Yeah.
lot of good friends that were Spanish there, so I was really awkward when we were around other Americans, and I just felt that the accent was totally different, totally out.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we finally went to the States or to Canada, well, we kind of felt a part of things, but there was always this awkwardness. But I really enjoyed those years, and I have very good memories of,
Mm-hmm.
of being in Spain and just everything going on here. And the transition between missions, I don't think it affected me that much because I think we still saw each other once in a while at camps and places, and so
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was good.
Yeah. Okay. Pues quiero hacer los próximos minutos en español. Entonces, vosotras cuando os criasteis en Fuenlabrada y todo el tiempo que visteis por ahí, eh, el fútbol, ¿erais del Madrid o del Atleti? A ver.
Madrid,
Ninguna de las
claro.
De
dos.
nada.
En nuestra casa
Pero
no había mucha afición al
no
fútbol,
nos enteraban.
Na-
nada más
Pero sí
cuando era
éramos
la
del
selección
Madrid, ¿no?
española.
Yo me
Yo,
acuerdo del Madrid.
yo pensando en
Bueno,
Fuenlabrada como si Fuenlabrada es del sur, en general el Atleti es del sur de Madrid,
Ah,
pero no
Pues aquí
siempre, ¿eh? No
sabemos.
siempre. Está
Como
bien,
no
está
había
bien.
mucha afición al fútbol en nuestra casa, a mirar el fútbol. Yo nada más me acuerdo ver partidos cuando jugaba la selección española contra otros países, pero no me
Claro.
acuerdo
pero Silvia,
de
nosotras
ningún partido.
jugamos al fútbol
Sí, sí, pero me
Silvia
refiero
y
escuela.
Silvia
a
éramos
verlo.
futbolistas. Sí,
Ajá.
sí.
Sí, sí, jugamos
Sí,
en un
sí.
partido, en un equipo y todo.
Ya, ya,
Pero,
ya.
pero en cuanto a ver fútbol en casa, nada más
No.
tengo recuerdos de ver la selección española. Si
Vale,
es que
vale.
teníamos televisión.
Sí, y me imagino que Lina, ahora estando ahí en Barcelona, os habéis hecho del Barça, ¿no? Después de tantos años ahí, ¿o qué?
Más o menos, pero tampoco del todo. Lo
No,
disfrutamos de lo que disfrutan los demás, pero no estamos
no tan
muy
metida.
metidos en ese mundo.
Sí. Pues mi
Un
recuerdo
poco.
Mi madre, cuando yo cumplí 7 años, mi madre me ha regalado para Navidades un uniforme del Atleti y dice, toma, y digo, no, 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 mamá, el Real Madrid es blanco, todo blanco. Y dice, no, 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 es que, pero este es más bonito, mira, tiene rojo y blanco y azul. Y digo, no, no, así no es esto. Entonces, yo puedo decir
Sí.
que por lo menos desde los 7 años soy madridista y ahora, pues feliz, feliz de... Pero Susan, tú sin pensarlo has dicho que del Madrid, entonces yo te creo. Ujú.
Quizá por tus amigos, a lo mejor.
Puede ser. Yo me acuerdo, no sé por qué, pero Gonzalo y algunos de la iglesia de Aluche, en algún momento salió este tema y dice, Mateo, somos de la clase obrera, somos de Aluche, somos del Atleti. O sea, y fue la primera vez que me di cuenta que hay, pues casi como en Chicago, ¿no? Los Cubs y los White Sox
Los Cubs y los
y
White
hay,
Sox, sí.
hay distinciones casi políticas, ¿no? Y que más, es que el Real Madrid es el equipo de Franco y yo no sé, y bueno, quién sabe,
Anda,
cosas así,
sabes más que nosotras de eso.
ya ves. Pues el que sabe de fútbol es mi hermano. Mi hermano Juan Marcos es coach y, bueno, sabe mucho de todo eso. Pero venga, pues nada. Um, so, Susan, es verdad, Susi. Yo sí siempre he sido Susi, pero en algún momento tuve que, de adultos, vamos moderando y cambiando. A mí me decíais Mateo, casi siempre Matthew o Matt. No, Matthew, ¿no? Matthewcito.
When you, de pequeño sí, Matthew, pero Mateo también en español, los
Sí,
dos.
sí,
Mateo.
sí.
Matthew y Mateo.
Mi
Sí.
madre, el mote que me puso mi madre es Thew, Z-I-U. Y siempre es la fecha que todavía me escribe, hey
Ah,
Thew.
no sabía.
Ujú.
Sí, how are you doing, Thew? Um,
Mm.
so, bueno, so Uspaxico is, for me, I've had three countries kind of shape me and mold me. And born in the US, but I've lived uh, maybe 15 or 16 years out of my almost 50 in the US. So I've not, it doesn't feel like home as much. It feels like home because my parents, my brothers are there, but I mean, I don't have deep roots there. And yeah, that idea of, Susan, you mentioned about a TCK and, third culture kid, how we just don't have so much rootedness. I mean, there's so much to say about all that, but
Mhm.
uh, yeah. Anyway, I could ramble on for a while, but I do want to mention something that's really interesting. So I started out before we recorded by saying you four Canadians, and you all stopped me and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold on, we're not all Canadian. This is not that easy." But this is the way I always tell people about you guys. Oh, I have four Canadian friends. They're like my older cousins, and I grew up knowing them, and they all ended up marrying four guys who are all from different countries than themselves. And so, anyway, why don't we do a round real quick, telling us a minute or two about how you met your husband and where they're from, and whatever you want to say. So, Selena.
Okay, so I met Dave in college in Canada, even though he's North American. He's from Maine, New England, but he grew up in Argentina as a missionary kid.
Mm-hmm.
So we already started our friendship relationship talking in Spanish as well.
Okay. Talking
He had
bilingual.
lived most of his life in the States. Mhm.
Okay. Cool. So, Carmen.
Okay, well, I went to Canada to Bible college expecting maybe that I might find a husband there, but it didn't. It didn't really work. So I came back to Spain single and thought that I wasn't going to have very many options of finding somebody. But Oscar was here waiting. He was actually went to went to the church of one of my best friends. She invited me to a trip, prayer trip in Morocco, and that's where we
Okay.
met.
And he's from Spain.
He's from Spain.
Yeah.
He's from Madrid, Spain, from
Moratalaz.
Moratalaz.
Yeah. Cool.
Hmm.
And Silvia.
So, I was born in Madrid, and I'm very excited to have a Canadian birth certificate. So I guess I am Canadian, but never identified with being Canadian.
Yeah.
When I went to get my carnet de identidad when I was 16, I was devastated that they said que no, you can't get a carnet de identidad if you have a Spanish passport, an ID. You have to turn in, sorry, if you have a U.S. passport, you have to turn in your U.S. passport. And I
Right.
remember my mother recommending, no, don't give that up. And like, but I'm not American, I'm Spanish. I need my Spanish ID. But
Hmm.
there was really no options. Um, so then I came to the U.S. So thankfully, I listened to my mom's advice, and I kept the door open to study at Moody in Chicago. And that's where I met Paco, who uh, who was from Mexico City, Mexico.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Susan.
so we married 2 years after graduating, 3 years after graduating.
Hmm.
So I have to tell the backstory a little. I have memories of my dad saying that I needed to marry an Asian because, correct me, sisters, if I'm wrong, it was a fourth of the population was Asian and I was the fourth daughter or something like that.
Susan,
Anyway,
I thought you always just had. I just have memories of yours saying, "I want to marry an Asian. I want to
no,
marry an
I
Asian."
don't think, well, maybe. I always remember I was drawn to Asians. But so when I came to Chicago, some of my healing had to be not being in my sister's shadow and not being in a Spanish speaking church. So I knew right away, well, I don't want to be in a white American church either.
Hmm.
So down the street, just straight west, was a big Chinese church, and they had a American born congregation. And I took the bus and went there and loved it. And I was very welcomed. Everyone thought I was a Moody student doing my practical ministry because a white person just didn't show up. And I'm like, no, I don't go to Moody. I'm looking for a church. Anyway, I did not meet my husband there. And I was actually sort of talking about dating another, an MK that I had dated in Germany and who was from Spain. And we were kind of starting a conversation. So I know my motives were pure. I was liking this other guy. I was not looking for a Chinese man when I went. I did not meet him there. I met him after 7 years. I realized, well, I'm not Chinese. Maybe I need to find a more diverse church. I wasn't quite fitting in anymore. And then I found a multi-ethnic church. And the first person I signed up to go to a life group, a small group. And the first person that called me, I heard this message said, my name is Corey Chan, and I wanted to invite you to your name was given to me. I want to invite you to my small group. And that's the beginning of our story. And
Nice.
he was born and raised here in Chicago. His parents came from Hong Kong. So it's been, great.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Um,
And you
so
married a Mexican.
right, I did. I put at some point in my young adult years, I made a list of what are non-negotiables for me. What would be something I would not just yeah. What's and being bilingual was high. I mean, just top for me. Like I got two worlds, and they don't always integrate. And whoever's gonna walk this journey with me in life, I want them to be able to just fit in, and not have to be a bridge all the time. So that was very important for me. So yeah, and we met, and her name is Lena, but she spells it Lina. Um, so yeah, we met when I was doing mission work in Mexico, and she's from Mexico City, but we met about 8 hours north in the state of Zacatecas. So yeah. So your favorite fruit?
Right now, apricots because they're falling off my tree.
Orange.
Okay. Okay.
Sandia, watermelon.
Mango?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Cats,
Dogs.
horses,
Used to be cats until I was allergic. Now it's dogs.
Okay. Sweet or salty?
Salty.
salty,
Salty.
Both.
Okay. Coffee, tea, or other?
Coffee.
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 I have to say both because I have both every day.
Okay. Coke or Pepsi?
Root beer.
Neither.
Carbonated water.
Yep, I second
Bad
that.
question.
You second which one? Carbonated
The
water?
carbonated water,
Okay.
sparkling water.
Okay. Beach or mountain?
Oh man,
Mountain.
Beach.
Both.
both.
Okay.
But my Lake Michigan, I love.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
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 Míralas. Finally, we got one igual. Okay, so these might be a little bit longer. Okay, the answer, but just a phrase, not too long. In another life, I would be or do.
What I'm doing right now. I love working in our school, something I never pictured doing, and something the Lord put on our plate already in our 40s to go back to school and get different master's degrees in different areas, and I would do that again in another life.
Okay.
Or I would do it earlier.
I would say maybe architect, landscaping, eco gardening, something along those lines.
Okay.
The only thing that comes to my mind is like a history teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, I love my life.
Good. Um, name a favorite historical figure.
George Mueller, does that count?
Yep.
Okay, let's say Amy Carmichael then.
Oh, I was you beat me. I just started studying her. Frederick Douglass.
I just read his book. I would say Mother Teresa in the ways that I can relate to her.
Okay. So, is math red or blue?
Red.
Red.
What does red
You're
mean?
supposed to think. You're just supposed to make that up.
I get angry when I do math and I think
like
of the color red.
and I like
Yes,
math.
red. Oh wow.
Different reasons.
Come on, give me an answer, Sylvia.
Oh, I said red because I
Oh,
get
okay.
angry
I
too.
didn't hear it. You guys all threw it in together. Wow.
We
No,
sound together. I mean, we
most
sound the
most
same.
I found so far that most people will answer one of the two, but I've had one or two that have said, Matthew, math is black and white. We all know that.
Yeah.
It's
Great question.
it is a question that gets people to, and I don't even know why I ask it, but it's just one of those random throw-ins. If you could interview someone, who would you interview?
Henry Nouwen, Catholic author that from
Charlotte
Holland.
Mason. Oh, sorry. Charlotte Mason.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe
Rosa
Abraham.
Parks. I still could.
Abraham is Abraham in the Bible.
Yeah, yeah. I missed your Sylvia.
Harriet Tubman.
Yes. Awesome. Um, uh, any favorite book of yours you want to mention?
The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer.
Oh, that's one of Corey's favorites.
That's one of my
Yep,
favorite books.
I have it, but I need to slow down enough to read it.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I like Henry Nouwen books. I can't think of a specific one now.
He has one called Amigos, right? Or no, Gracias. Gracias. Yeah.
I just recently reread Susanna Wesley.
Okay.
There's one of many for the family's sake by Susan Schaefer and Macaulay. I'm not sure how to say her second name. Macaulay.
Yeah.
That's inspirational in every matter of family and care of children, but inspirational in education as well, in introducing the Charlotte Mason's pedagogy, but very inspirational for quality family life and time with children and spouses, and
Yeah. Okay. What's a place you want to visit?
Hey, I was
Greece.
gonna say that Greece.
That's how I
That's
beat.
what we should have our next get
I
together
figured I
there
better
then.
beat somebody.
You wanted
Yes.
to. I, there's parts of South and East Spain, Spain that I never got to see because we didn't really vacation much there.
Hmm. Okay. I didn't. Did you say one, Lena? I didn't hear it.
I haven't yet because I don't really know. There are parts of Spain we're so busy we only travel what we need to travel for conferences and visiting family. I don't care to
Yeah.
travel too much. Actually, I would love to go back to my home province of BC. I haven't been back since I was a
Oh
teen.
yeah.
And no one in my family knows my home province because I am Canadian. I mean, I have my American passport, but I would
Yeah.
love to go back to British Columbia and show it to Dave and the kids.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's still on my list to do. I haven't taken my kids to Spain yet, and I
Well,
definitely
we
want to
would
do
have
that.
room for you
Oh,
if you would ever want to come
Matthew.
this far
Yeah.
north.
Gracias. That'd be so
It's
fun. That'd be so
definitely
fun.
worth it. Definitely worth it to go to
And
Carmen's
Lena's.
place.
And you
Uh,
could stay at our parents in Extremadura. They love hosting too.
I think of Paul a lot, just saying I become all things to all people, and just kind of fit in where I need to be, um, and part of it probably is my own wanting to belong, which I never feel like I'm ever 100% belonging anywhere.
Hmm. Hmm.
Even with my
Hmm.
Spanish friends, I'm like I switch into this Espanol, and they'll say,
Hmm.
"¿Qué mexicano te escuchas, Mateo?" As much as I
Well,
try, yeah,
I
Yeah.
admire you
I,
because I adapt too. I work a lot with Hispanics,
yeah,
but I will not lose my lisp. I got to
yeah,
keep my lisp.
yeah,
no,
yeah,
eso se mantiene.
I think we all I think we all feel like you, Mateo, and that's why we feel a bond as well. And we need that connection with people who were part of our family growing up because wherever
yeah,
we are, we don't exactly belong.
Hmm.
yeah,
Everybody where we are has their own group of friends, their own relatives. We're blessed to have
yeah.
Carmen 2 hours away. But yeah, in your case or my case here in Spain and you in Mexico, or even
Hmm.
maybe Sylvia and Susan in Chicago as well, there is that sense until we get to heaven. You
Hmm.
don't really settle, like
Right.
people would if they had only lived in one place. So I know what you mean with that.
Yeah.
Wanting to fit in, for God to use you wherever you are.
Yeah. Well,
Como
one
Pablo.
of the legacies, just going back real quick to about my dad, but one of the legacies that I feel like I've inherited is my love for children, and we
Mm.
still once a month we still do a evento we put up a tent. It's like a VBS, a 1 day VBS thing, and we do puppets and juegos and canciones,
Mm.
versículo, and and so it's just like
Giving.
I mean,
Mhm.
I started doing puppets as a kid in Arganda,
Mm,
and so that's
yeah.
something. So it's fun to, uh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, this feels like it's a continuación del Jaime in some ways,
Hmm.
There you
Sí, 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 sí.
which
Tráete
is
aquí algún día, tráete a tus hijos o tráete un
sí,
equipo.
sí,
Aquí tenemos mexicanos también en el colegio, alguno trabaja con nosotros también, son
vale,
buena
okay,
gente.
yeah.
Sí.
We've been kicking the can for some years, but we'll have to make it happen at some point para ir para allá
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
y o visitaremos si Dios quiere por ahí. Um,
sería genial.
Yeah. Well, any final thoughts or comments or anything you guys want to say to wrap this up? I think I'm just grateful and I don't know.
Thank you so much for doing this. I know it was tricky with our schedules, but I think in the end, I can only speak for myself. I appreciate hearing things that I had forgotten and just reminiscing together. I think that was special.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
inspiring. I think I was thinking, wow, this is such a treat to just have a call and hear memories from my
Yeah.
sisters. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
thank you.
Yep.
And this relationship that we have with you and your brothers, although we've stayed more in touch with you, I think, or with the Thompsons when we were in touch way back. That's and the relationship that we had growing up and that family sense with you all is something that means all the more now when I realize, for example, my kids have not had that. We have not had
Hmm.
coworkers to provide that
Yeah.
Hmm.
family role model, family identity with other people. So it makes you be all the more thankful. Like we took it for granted, but it's something that's so unique. What we had
Right.
with you and the Thompsons and the Hills, that's what stands out. I know there were more people after that, but we were already out of the picture, I think.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite memories looking back at when we were together, I don't know if anybody mentioned this before, but just our Thanksgiving meals and our Christmas meals that we had either at our
We
place or
talked
at
about that.
Thompson's. That
Yeah.
that that was so special because that was the only real American thing that we actually did, and I remember that being so much fun. We pigged out so much, and we ate so much, and we were playing games afterwards, and I have very, very good memories of those
Yeah.
Thanksgiving and Christmas meals.
Yeah.
And Matthew, one memory that just came back is that your family, I don't remember if it was you or Jamie, or I mean you kids, introduced me to M&Ms.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.